What's going on, guys? And welcome back to another episode of Podcastmania, episode 4, I believe. I'm one of your hosts, Luke, and join with me every time we do this. We've got my lovely co-host, Nick. Nick, say hello to the people, man.
Hello to the people. How are you all doing? Did you watch Backlash? Did you enjoy it? Luke, did you enjoy it?
I actually did. It was honestly, I think we talked about this before we hit record, and I was like, you mentioned that it was nice, like you're looking forward to doing this podcast because it wasn't going to be like ideally as long as the other past ones we have been. Because to be fair, we started with Elimination Chamber, which is like
Mhm.
had the biggest turn, the scene, the heel turn, which is like something you have to discuss. Plus two
Huge.
like 30-minute chamber matches on top of that. And then we had WrestleMania, which is you covered both nights. We didn't break it up into 2 nights, which we might have to do for the next one. Maybe we might have to think about doing that one because it was a long
Wouldn't be a
one. It
bad
was about
idea.
yeah, it was like two almost over close to 3 hours of podcasting, which was a lot. But yeah, no, I actually enjoyed. I'm a big fan of the five match PLE cards because I feel like they're really digestible. I think it's not like they're fitting on a time frame. I think they give the performers the time they need to get through the match. I don't feel like a
Yeah.
lot of these PLEs, the matches are like rushed at all, which is more than that can be said about WrestleMania because I felt like a lot of the time the Mania matches felt rushed a little bit, specifically when we talked about night one. But overall, I really enjoyed Backlash. What about yourself, Nick?
Yeah, same. Absolutely. I kind of felt like part of me feels like there was nothing special to it, and as good as I felt them like the matches were, which spoiler is what I'm going to be saying for the most part. I don't feel like this is going to be one of those ones which I'm remembering for all of time and looking at. Oh,
Yeah.
remember the Backlash of 25? Like, God, that was.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna forget about this one, and I do feel like good but forgettable is
Yeah.
an easy way to describe probably most of the matches.
Yeah,
You,
for
you know,
sure. For sure. Well, I mean, we'll hop right into it. So we had the first match, which was the Fatal Four Way for the United States Championship. Almost at the
yeah.
Intercontinental Championship there for half a second because I'm like, wait a second. But yeah, for the U.S. Championship, and yeah, I mean, overall, what are your thoughts, Nick? And obviously we had the victor being Jacob Fatu
Yeah,
after an interference with I guess a debuting his they announced his name in on Friday. It's like JC something, JC Mateo.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I literally in my notes
we,
says
we
who the
we're gonna
fuck
call
is
him Mateo, right?
yeah,
Mateo is what we will refer to him as. If we're wrong,
yeah,
apologies.
yeah. I was like, who? I literally wrote in my notes, who is this guy? But Nick, what were your overall thoughts about the match, man? And how did you feel about it?
So, okay, I feel like the match overall good. Like I've said,
Yeah.
is pretty much going to be the description of all of these. I didn't like the start of it though. So
Okay.
it starts off with LA Knight kind of basically running the show,
Yeah.
right? And for like even the commentators said this has basically just been a 2 minute highlight reel of what LA Knight
Hmm.
can do. Now I'm not the biggest LA Knight fan. I never got drawn into the hype like a lot of people did, and I've made no secret about that. But I feel like in a fatal four way, he was essentially able to 1v3 these
Hmm.
guys at the beginning of the match. Like later on, you don't mind it so much because sure they're worn out, but like they're all fresh, and here he is just absolutely cleaning house on all three of them, and all three of them are like forces to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but like I felt there was a little bit too much spotlight on him. Did you even notice this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I felt like they did really well with it, honestly, because at the end of the day, I feel like my first note I have here is LA Knight is just so fucking over with the crowd. Like he's getting Jay
He
Uso
is.
reactions. So like I feel like giving him that spotlight felt really good. But like you said, it felt like that way at the beginning of the match, right? But I felt like every single competitor after that spot is like LA Knight got 2 minutes to dominate. Drew McIntyre got 2 minutes to dominate. Damian Priest got 2 minutes to dominate, and Jacob Fatu got 2 minutes to dominate. I felt like that's how they did the first 10 minutes of the match, where they gave everyone a hot start, and then so LA Knight went out. Here comes McIntyre's time. Here comes Priest's time. Here comes Fatu's time. And so I definitely felt that at the very beginning, but I don't think it was just necessarily LA Knight. I get what you're saying when you're saying like it felt weird because they are all so fresh, and it's just weird to see someone,
Yeah.
all four guys being fresh, getting dominated so quickly. But I felt like that was just the way they decided to work that match was everyone get their offense in early, and then as time progresses, they get tired out, and we see more individual spots. But I will say, I really like how much the crowd was really into it, and kind of going into
Mm,
that flow of the matches as well in the match as well, where like I said, everyone got a time to dominate. I really thought there was a six spot seeing all four finishers come out pretty quickly. Like it was really, really cool to see
yeah.
LA Knight hit his finisher, and then McIntyre hit his, and then Priest hit his, then Fatu hit his. I really thought that was a really cool sequence. And I will say during that match also, Jacob had a like an amazing sequence. Like I can't it's like it was like right after the finisher sequence where he just takes out everyone, and it was just
Mhm.
so freaking smooth, man. Like Fatu, Jacob is like I mean, we talk about it all the time. We talk about like people coming out and who we see as futures in the business is like Jacob's already getting over with the fans. I really am not a big fan of the solo storyline they got going on because I just don't like solo that much. Um,
Same.
and I felt like the match itself really was just kind of a coming out party for Jacob because I think he looked really, really good, and he continues to wow me by the way he moves every single match I see him in.
Yeah, I think that what you said there in like the way the finishes all gelled together and the way the match flowed was really key. I feel like so often the problem with fatal four-way matches is you see that it's kind of like two people have their time to fight while two people are just taking a break at rings. Obviously they're tired, um but it's the easier way to choreograph it essentially, because you're only having to worry about two people and maybe
Mhm,
a third person gets in there, but that's almost where you're just changing who the focus is going to be on. Whereas this, I feel like all four of them kind of stayed relevant,
mhm,
like not 100% of the time because you can't do that, but like a good majority of the match. I feel like this was a really good portrayal of how fatal four ways are actually supposed to play out,
mhm,
and I didn't feel like anybody was just sitting on the ringside and taking breathers for too long. Yeah, but I mean, it was a good showing of Fatu. I feel like he was maybe the last of the four to kind of get his spots in at the beginning,
mhm. Yeah, he was.
but that almost worked to his favor, sort of like everybody has their time, but he's the one that's coming out on top and what have you. But yeah, the level of athleticism you were seeing from him at times was really high, which you don't expect from a guy that's built like him.
No,
So
you don't.
no, I am enjoying Fatu. I am very
Yeah,
much enjoying Fatu.
exactly. I mean, I
One
am too. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, one thing that I did want to touch on during this match
Mhm.
was we talked about this in WrestleMania. There's a point where the camera's focused on one thing going on. It was a point where Damian Priest was pinning somebody, I don't even remember who.
Yeah.
And from off camera, you're looking at it, I think you know what I'm going to say. Off camera, Drew pulls him off. And so you don't see the lead up of, is it Drew pulling him off or Priest pulling Drew off? I can't remember
Someone's
which way
pulling.
around it was
Someone
now.
pulls. Someone pull. It wasn't necessarily anyone pulling anyone off. They pull. Someone pulled the ref off from counting. I think that's just. That's the.
Was it the I thought it was as they
Maybe it
were
was a
like
player.
covering them. I think Drew pulled Priest no,
Okay.
no. It was Priest pulled McIntyre out. That oh, or
Okay.
was it both way around? Either way, I'm getting mixed up here and it's not important. The point is it was off camera stuff. You didn't
Hmm.
see it coming, and it was really good. Like the way it landed was like, oh my god, I didn't expect that breakup to happen, but I feel like we're getting more and more of this, and it's as we touched on last time. I think that the way they're filming it, probably because of Netflix now, it's almost more like it is a TV show than it is about trying to replicate a live experience, which is what we've had previously. And I was discussing this with friends, which is where I sort of like came up with this concept. They're
Yeah.
moving away from allowing you to be an audience member, because the guys in the audience there, they would have seen that coming. You could see the
Mhm.
wrestler standing up outside because you're not just focused on the screen. So we as a TV audience are no longer getting the same experience as being ringside. Do you think this is a trend they're actually going for? Do you think I'm maybe reading too much into it?
I honestly think you might be reading a little bit too much into it because I feel like they've been doing this for a really long time. I will say the spots you're talking about, where like it's the really close two counts, the ref pulls, I will agree that they have been shot differently, but saying that the
Mhm,
experience they're getting at the show versus what is different than what we're getting from the as a TV audience. I mean, that's just kind of how it works, right? Like it is the thing, unfortunately, where at least I know on the um screens in the stadium it's shot the same way it's on TV. I know that for a fact. So if you got like a nosebleed seat, you're kind of watching it from the screen most of the
yeah.
time, not really being able to see it. But I just feel like in general, like I feel like it's not a moot point, but I feel like it's kind of like it's been going on for years. I mean, I've never personally been to a WWE event, so I don't know the personal experience from watching a match like in the stadium, but I
Mhm.
just feel like if I were, I know I would not get the same experience from an angle perspective of wrestling. And I guess, yeah, I feel like that would also take me out of it because I'm like, oh, here's so and so, da 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 da. But I also feel like when you, it's weird because when I see like cutaways and stuff like that, they do a really good job of just kind of really what happens in multi-man matches if you really take the camera off of they're just laying down acting tired. They're like kind of like soaking up the wounds, and then the second that their spot is, they pop back up and they break the pin or whatnot. So I mean, obviously as as a TV honest, I don't want to see like Drew laying on the ground moaning that he's in pain for like 3 minutes while they're getting their spots in.
Yeah.
So like,
Okay.
you know
Okay.
what I mean? You know what I mean? I get why they shoot it that way. And I will say maybe the angle and the way they're doing like the breakups are a little bit different now. But yeah, going back to your point, I don't think it's really anything crazy to think about, I guess. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I
Fair
don't think
enough.
it's like that big
Uh,
of a thing, I think.
maybe
um
it was just that breakup that really kind of didn't take me
maybe.
out of the moment. I was enjoying the moment absolutely.
Yeah.
It just really made me do a deep dive into it.
Mhm. Fair.
But fair enough then. Fair enough.
Yeah, and I guess one thing we'll touch on before we move on from this match, obviously, Priest and McIntyre go out to the outside and they do a crazy bump. They
Yeah.
do a crazy south of heaven. I was really worried about Drew. I thought because
Same. I have that written down.
Drew did not hit the table the right way. His head bounced right off the concrete or wherever
Yeah.
that was. So I mean, obviously, you got two big guys who have been talking for we're talking wrestling for 20 minutes. Um, and they go for a spot. Accidents are to happen, but I just remember seeing that spot and just covering my face because I'm like, oh my gosh, like Drew just hit the back of his head. I hope he's okay. I will say,
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
you're talking about,
Same.
like we're talking about the experience as well. Like I am imagining, like from an audience perspective, what's going on in the ring because they're on Drew and Priest for like a good 7 minutes of that match. Like on the outs, it feels like they're out there for a really long
Mhm.
time. They're not just they're just showing what's going on. They're not showing what's going on in the ring. So I'm like, I'm like, my mind's like, are they laying in the ring right now? Are they fighting? I don't know what's going on, but I guess they must not be doing anything important because they're like,
No.
oh, we're focused on Priest and McIntyre right now.
I think
But
that's
yeah,
though like quite a normal thing for multi-man matches. If there is something going on,
yeah,
they
yeah,
will
yeah.
just sort of, lie in the ring or have a very, very light back and forth.
Like,
Nothing
yeah,
worth noticing.
yeah. I just thought about that when I was watching. I was like, they've been out there for a while. They haven't cut to the ring in about 5 minutes. I guess nothing's going on. And then yeah, obviously that spot happens. That takes both of them out. And then yeah, we have the finish, with the interference, which again I'm not a big fan of because I just don't care about this storyline they're telling. Obviously,
Same.
obviously it's just leading into a Jacob versus Solo at SummerSlam kind of match or whatever pay-per-view they decide to do it at some point. Which fair enough. I just hope after they do this storyline, it's just done. Jacob just does his own thing. And we just kind of
Yeah.
get away from this new bloodline faction or just the bloodline in general. Like I feel like now specifically with Roman and Reigns, the bloodline story is over. Like it's over. Paul's gone. Like it's
Mhm.
over. There's no need for it. So this second bloodline is also kind of like a moot point. Like we don't need it. I think it's fine. You can because they've been able to tell the story for so long without them being in the bloodline. Like these characters can be great on their own. I just think we need to step away from Solo and let Solo do Solo things. Honestly, I would not be opposed to them throwing him back down at NXT and doing the bloodline faction down at NXT. Something like because I feel like you just don't need it on the main
Yeah,
roster. I feel like so because I feel like once this match happens with Fatu, like Solo's just not doing anything, and which is fine. But like I feel like it's just a waste of a spot, because he's not doing anything.
I
Like
agree.
you know what I
I
mean?
I
And
I
so it's just like if you're gonna have this storyline, just if you want to keep like Jacob and the Tonga twins doing something and JC like I don't know what I just don't like the story, and I feel like after SummerSlam, if this is where they do the culmination of this Jacob solo story, where does this lead? Not Jacob, but where does this lead that story that faction? Like, are we just gonna
yeah.
have a Judgment Day kind of scenario? I,
I
I don't
Well,
know. I'm
this is
just
the
not.
thing. I was going to use
I don't
Judgment
know.
Day as an example, which I actually feel like Judgment Day has managed to pull off what they're
Yeah,
not doing with the blood, what they're trying to do with the bloodline. But
yeah,
Judgment Day, if you think about it, they've gone through Edge, they've gone through Rhea
mhm,
Ripley, they've gone through Damian Priest. All of these
mhm,
are big names that essentially like were headlining the group and
yeah,
has then kind of gone off to do their own thing. But the
yeah,
Judgment Day has managed
hmm
to stay relevant, and it's worked really well. The Bloodline, on the other hand, it was all Roman Reigns, right?
yeah,
There was nothing about it which was, oh, this is Solo's uh, faction or what have you. No, it was a faction that he happened to be a part of. Roman Reigns got lost the title, pissed off for a bit, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm in charge now." It's like, yeah, but no one cares about you
yeah,
or your faction. And I mean, like this finish at the end of this match, like heel finishes are going to happen like this, and obviously we
mhm,
see other heel finishes later on in the night, which we'll get to.
mhm,
Um, that I don't mind so much, but this one I was just like, cool, yeah, okay. It's a weak finish. I get it. It's for the purpose of storyline. It's not like it's nothing new that we've seen or what have you. So it's
yeah.
not like I'm allowed to be upset with it. But I just felt like the end of this match was particularly weak, and it is all because of this terrible storyline they're trying to tell.
Yeah, I was gonna say like if they wanted to do this story, I would have much rather them just debut this guy on like SmackDown because it took away from a
Mhm.
good match. I feel like, but
Yeah.
but that's beside the point. We'll move on. Obviously Jacob wins
Mhm.
this match, and I'm happy. I like Jacob winning.
Yeah.
I like seeing him strong. I think that this is just a good storyline. I don't know how much longer I wanted to hold the U.S. title for a while. Don't get me wrong, but I'm really excited to see who they put in on next because the mid card scene on SmackDown specifically is looking really, really good. So I am
Oh
excited
yeah.
to see where this title goes. I would love to see a matchup after this solo match. I would love to see like a Fatu versus like an Aleister Black or a Fatu versus a Carmelo Hayes or Andrade. I would just like them to cycle this out. And I guess the only thing that it leads me to the last thing I want to touch on before we move on really quick is just the future of LA Knight because again, like maybe I know you're not the biggest fan of him, but I
I
feel like he's
recognize
done
he's
all.
good. It's just I
Yeah,
haven't bought into the
that's fine.
hype. That's the thing.
Yeah, I just feel like at this point, like he's doing nothing in the mid card scene, and I think it's time to put him in like kind of like I said again, you to put him in the main event, main card scene. Like you don't need to put a title on someone to do that, right? You can just have him feuding with good storyline matches. Like have a do what Punk and McIntyre did, where they fought
Yeah.
for create him a good storyline, put him up there with a top guy, and see what he can do. And if you like what he can do, then think about putting him in a title match. I'm not saying you got to
Mhm.
put him up. I'm not saying like he needs to go beat Cena or something like that, or go beat Jay or something like that. But I would like to see him float around in the at the top of the card for a little bit because if you're gonna do it for Jay, you might as well just do it for LA Knight at this point, in my opinion. If we're
Yeah,
talking about
I'm
being
kind
over
of
with the crowd,
with you on
you know
that.
what I mean? All right.
Mhm.
Anyways, so yeah, moving on to the next match on the card, we do have the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Becky Lynch
Yeah.
versus Lyra Valkyria for the title. Um, overall, Lyra does end up picking the win up here. But kind of going back from when we started, Nick, what did you think about the match?
So for for a number of reasons, I actually think this was the best match of the night.
Mhm.
Um,
I would agree.
so it starts off with Becky looking like pretty dominant, and
Mhm.
that's what you expect, right? That
Yeah, the veteran.
you got exactly. She's the veteran. You go into this. It's like, who do you have your money on? Becky. And to be fair, we even like messaged each other. Well, you messaged me the night before. Was like, this is the card. What are your predictions? My prediction is Becky's going to win. I was like, yeah, same.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't see Lyra pulling out the victory from this, but I think that for all we slated the booking
Mhm.
of this match, I think WWE have proved us very wrong,
Yeah, they have.
and this works out really well. So you've got Becky looking dominant, and then you go into like this beautiful hold work from Lyra, like where
Mhm.
she's I don't necessarily know the names of all these holds, so you'll have to forgive me, but where you've got her like she's wrenching her back and swinging her between the legs,
Mhm.
if you remember that one, and then doing the same but on the ground and like wrenching and rolls her over, wrenches her back, rolls her over, wrenches her back, and
Yeah. It's
it
smooth,
was really
very
really
technical.
skilled work. But yeah, really smooth. That's the thing. She doesn't look like. I mean, I know she's not exactly a novice. She's obviously been around for some time now,
Yeah.
but in comparison, she
Mhm.
doesn't. She didn't look like the one that isn't the veteran in that match.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was my take on the start of it. Like it then gets into like some really good flowing work, and I just feel like the composure of the match worked really well together.
Yeah, I mean, I knew once they paired them up, it was going to be a good match in general. I was very impressed with how well they're finally now presenting Lyra in a way that makes the audience care, right? Like the
Yes, this is
build up
it.
to the match, the build up to the match between her and Becky was the best character work I've seen from Lyra because they actually gave her a character to work with. And then the match itself, you can see the character come out, like the scenes where she's getting slapped in the face with Becky, but she's still standing back up, right? You see the scenes where she is wrenching at like the pain she's going through. She's getting manhandled slammed. Like there's the one scene where she gets manhandled slammed, and I thought it was over. Like it was like this. I think it was the second one where like up like it's over. It's like she hit two. Okay, I felt like she was going to kick out of the first one. She kicked out of the second one. I was like, whoa, like because the way
Mhm.
she performed it, and then I mean, yeah, overall, it's just like she just did a great job. I will say my only negative on this match was the ref. I did not like the ref spots because she removed um the turn pad buckle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Becky
then
took it off.
Lyra reverses it and goes for the pin. The ref is clearly looking at her pin, but she's like, "Oh, I got to put the buckle on." No, ma'am, no, you don't. Count the pin first and then put the pad on. Like it's just like that stuff for me always like infuriates me because I know these refs aren't like they're just doing what they're supposed to do. Like they're supposed to, like, all right, you got to hesitate a little bit so gives Becky enough time to kick out. But I'm just like, bro, like you're dumb. Like as a person, I'm like, oh, there's a pin. I should count the pin first and then tie the whole thing back up on there.
Yeah,
That
I
that
get
that
you.
took me out of them. That was my only knock on the match, really. And then the finish happened. For a second there, I almost didn't know what was happening a little bit with the finish. Specifically the pin. Because I know she got raked in the eyes, I think, but I also think Lyra might have broke her nose because her nose is like all sorts of
Yeah,
messed
yeah,
up. And
yeah.
I'm like,
For
did she break her
sure. At the end,
nose? And she's like
the only thing
crying
was
as she's
I
like trying to
expected
pin
more
her.
blood, so I'm
I did
not
too.
sure because I was like, is it broken? It looks broken. She's acting like it's
Yeah.
broken, but there's no blood. So like,
Yeah. It
I'm
looked
not.
rough. But the pin itself was fine. I was surprised as how they did it. I thought maybe she would hit her finisher for a pin or something like that, just to kind of like put the ultimate like statement. I beat like my mentor kind of
Mhm.
thing with my own move instead of like a classic technical roll up. But to be fair, the way the match was choreographed, choreographed overall. It was a technical match, so I'm not okay. I'm not disappointed with the way they did the pin there at all. I think, like you said, it was a great match. Overall, made me care about Lyra. I think I wrote down. I was like,
This is it.
Lyra has a look about her. Like even her presentation. Like I like the present, like her entrance. Like I was like, she comes out. I know like there's I'm not the biggest fan of the wings. Maybe it's just because I'm not the biggest fan of like the bird like
Oh, I
type of
like them.
thing.
I like them.
But then like I got as I like looked into it, it's like what is she supposed to represent? And then I think they actually explained it on commentary, like it's an Irish folklore about like there's like, oh, that's actually really cool. So I don't mind it anymore now. I know the behind. I thought it was like, oh, she's just a bird. People like she likes birds. And I was just like, is that what she's going for? And so I did some, I ate my crow and actually researched it first. And I was like, all right, that's actually pretty cool. But
See,
she's got a look about
I
her,
had it
and
down
they
to
did
the
really
name. What was it? Valkyria, and I just presumed it was a
yeah.
play on Valkyrie, which are the
Yeah.
Viking winged fighting women, or
Yeah.
angels, or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. But the way they presented her in this match and going forward, I think it's just going to just do great things for Lyra. Again, I guess I will have to like tip my hat off to Becky as well. This new heel persona that Becky's going with, I like it better than her last heel persona that she tried to pull. Like I guess it was like Big Time
Yeah.
Bex was her new one. I like the fact that she's playing into the crowd, thinking that she's Becky Hogan, always trying to take over everyone's spot, trying to be the number. I actually really vibe with that, and I like how she's playing into it. And I think
So
it's going. I'm a big fan of it. I like this heel persona, and yeah, that's how I feel about it. What do
what
you
I
say, Nick?
feel like is
Mhm,
no, you're absolutely right on like both points. First of all, in terms of Lyra getting over, I feel like I kind of seen her struggle to get much of a reaction from the crowd up until she did that tag match with Bailey. And then
mhm,
she was getting that reaction when she was in the tag matches with these other big names, first Bailey and obviously followed by Becky. But now she's getting cheers herself. There was definitely at one point the crowd was fully 50-50 split chanting let's go Becky followed by let's go Lyra.
mhm.
Like I would not have known who was the bigger like following in that, which is a big deal. Um, and yeah, the way that she wrestled, like there was the wrestling styles between the two of them. Becky was slow. She was dominating. She was presenting herself as a heel. And I got that from her body motion and stuff like that. But Lyra was doing the opposite. She was the quick paced, one move after another, jumping into it where she could. Obviously, when she's, taking a beating, obviously she needs to rest up. But when she was in control, it was a very different pace. And the portrayal of both of them was superb. I don't know whether you'd even call it choreography because I don't think they go into that much depth when they're planning out how the match is going to go.
Mhm,
But it really really came across, and I feel like this storyline, this booking, which I don't think is going to be over. I think we'll probably see this match again potentially,
mhm.
or something where the two of them are involved with each other going forward. Uh, but I think it has done really good work in one, getting Lyra over to the
Mhm.
point where she needed to. Two, establishing Becky as a heel, which people actually don't like. Because the problem with that she was a heel before was people were still like, hey, we love Becky. We don't care if you're
Yeah.
doing bad things. We love you anyway. But
Mhm.
she was getting booed as she was leaving the stadium. She was people were definitely rooting for Lyra as the good guy in the match, which you didn't see the last time. So this has done good for both of them in that regard. And what Becky has done, there was a point in the promo she said, "I'm gonna make that title relevant, like I made you relevant," or something to that
Mhm.
effect. She said to Lyra, and I think she has done without even holding it. I feel like this feud is what has made that Intercontinental belt
Mhm.
actually feel like it's worth the damn, is relevant. And
Yeah.
Becky has managed to do this without even holding it by just
Mhm.
putting over Lyra so well
Yeah.
that it's elevated both her and the belt. And I
Mhm.
just feel like the booking there is perfect, and I'm curious
Yeah.
to see where it goes from in here.
Yeah, I'm very curious as well, and I guess I'll like kind of touch on your last comment really quick before we move on. It's like Becky put her over without holding the belt. I flip back to I wish Charlotte really put Tiffany over the same way Becky just put Lyra over. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of very much of a thing where I'm just like, that's how you do it, right? And I think again, I'm not going to rehash that match, but it's just like I think
Oh
like
no,
how Becky did such a great job doing that, and I think it just goes to show that Becky overall, without like she does such a with the three horsewomen that are left in the company, you know, I think Becky does a great job of putting people over without hurting her character. I think Bailey's too gracious and it hurts her character. And I feel like Charlotte
mm,
doesn't do that enough. I think she did it really well for Bianca and Ripley. I think she did good for those two specifically. But I feel like Becky always seems to put over people really, really well while keeping her character strong. Bailey puts people over, but I don't think it makes your character look good at all. And
yeah,
Charlotte just doesn't put enough people over, which I think it just kind of goes to show the way the three wrestlers themselves. Again, it could be just the way they're portrayed or the way the writers write their characters. At the end of the day, it's not the performers. I'm not saying like Charlotte doesn't want to put people over because that's clearly probably not the case at all. Charlotte probably loves to put people over. But like I just feel like that's how you if you're going to use these four horsewomen to put people over, you got to do it the Becky way. Keep the character strong while still elevating the other characters without dampening or making your
yeah,
character look bad.
yeah.
So,
No,
but yeah,
you are right about all of that.
yeah. All right, but so yeah, we'll move on to the next match, which is the men's intercontinental championship with good old Dom Dom versus Penta for the IC title. Overall, Dom does end up picking the win here. But
Yeah.
overall, from the match perspective, Nick, what were you feeling, man?
So this match is really hard to pass comment on because neither Penta nor Dom, in my opinion, did anything wrong. I feel like the
Yeah.
match was good. I feel like both of them were wrestling well. There was a good flow to it, good pace to it. You know, a couple of nice, well, semi-nice spots, like nothing extravagant or what have you, but
Yeah.
you know. And the problem with it is that overall, I feel like it just was so. Bleh. I didn't care. Or no, it's not even that I didn't care. There was it was so unspecial. Just because something is done well doesn't mean it's special. And I think that when I said at the beginning, how do I feel about this pay-per-view? Overall, good, but very forgettable. This match encompasses it entirely. There is nothing I can say bad about this match, other
Yeah.
than the fact that I will never remember this match.
Mhm.
You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, I definitely get where you're coming from. I think I agree and disagree with what you're saying. I think I agree in the fact that there's nothing wrong with this match. There's absolutely
Hmm.
nothing wrong. Um, and but I do feel specifically for me, and I guess what it boils down to is if you care about the characters, right? Like I've been praising Dominic for like 2 years at this point, like of how
Yeah,
much he's grown. For me, I still think about that smooth dive to the outside to that DDT where I'm like, I still like it's been over 2 weeks and I'm still thinking about that spot, right? Because I haven't seen like to see Dom, this long, lanky guy, do that so well and so smooth. I'm like, damn, Dom, what the fuck? Um,
oh yeah,
but like,
Dom
but
was performing really well, and I've like
yeah,
I think Dom. Every time you see him, you're just seeing more and more how much he has improved from when he first
yeah,
graced our screens when he was paired with his dad, and he was
mhm,
awful back then. Like
god
they got
awful,
him in way
trash,
too soon,
trash.
but credit where credit is due. He has
Yeah.
worked hard, and he is really really good now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah, for
am
sure.
fully on Team Dom.
Yeah, same here. And so like yeah, for me like I'll remember this spot like in this match for that spot cuz I haven't seen Dom ever do anything like that. That's because I'm a big fan of him. But like from an outsider's perspective of like if you don't really necessarily care too much about the characters. I see exactly what you're talking about. Nothing wrong. Penta is Penta. He's great. Like he's amazing he's
Yeah.
amazing in the ring. His presentation's the same. His style is the same. It worked really well. With the Judgment Day, it's all about, when they come out, it's always about, all right, what's going to happen? Here's how they're going to interfere. I did appreciate that they did not pull the trigger on a Finn turn right then and there. I'm kind of glad they're letting that come out a little bit more, and I like how they kind of interwoven. Yeah, they interwoven two different storylines. With the El Grande and Penta thing, and the Dom and Finn thing, because I felt like that was the focal point. And then obviously the what is it called? I just glitched. The El Americano headbutt to get the win for Dom was cool as well. I'm just more interested, like at the end of the day, how what's going to happen next, right? And so that's where my mind's at for these storylines. Like, what's happening next? Obviously, we're going to see the turn at some point. It's going to happen. And I'm excited to see how they do it. And I like Dom holding this belt. I think it works really well.
Same.
I like how Dom is very much taking that Eddie character that was so awesome to witness, and I think he's doing it really, really well. And I want to see more of that character. And all I care about on the El Grande Americano son, I just want them to unmask him because I'm tired of it. I just want to see him unmasked. It's going to happen at their little Worlds Collide thing that they're going to be having. We're going to have that big reveal, obviously.
It's not a big reveal. Do not give it more respect than it needs.
The reveal, but the reveal of who it is going to happen at that show. And so, like, I just want that over with because I'm just tired of seeing it, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like,
fair.
but
I did
said,
I will say, after the match was over, I did really like you seeing El Grande Americano, like, lying down on his side, like, one knee up, but like that pose was just like absolutely on point, and I got a good chuckle from that.
Yeah, no, they do that character, even though I don't like the character. I get why they're doing it really well because I'm supposed to not like the character. You know what I mean? Like they do that really well. And yeah, like you said, just to wrap it up, it was good match. Nothing important, nothing to write home about. It was a typical good match. So we're moving on to I guess the second to last match, Gunther versus Pat McAfee. And
this was really interesting for me.
Yeah, and a match that I did not expect to go very long. And I was kind of getting a little upset when it was going on a little bit longer. And then I actually started to enjoy it. Because
there it is. There it is.
And then I actually started to enjoy it. And so that's where it was. Because I'm like, I just want to see Gunther come in. I want to see him choke McAfee out. And I want it to be done. I want it to be done in less than 5 minutes, right?
You expect like a super quick squash match, just like, who the hell are you? You're not a wrestler. Get that crap out of my ring. Right?
And they gave
it wasn't.
No, they gave it a good fit. I think they gave it a good like 15, 20 minutes. And I think overall it flowed really well as a match. It made you care about, I guess it made you care about Mac. It made you care about the storyline that they're trying to tell with Gunther. Like, it's Gunther trying to be his ultimate disrespectful, hey, I'm better than you. And then time and time again, it seems with Jay specifically, and now with Pat, kind of getting humbled. That he's not as dominant or as good as he is, or as in I can't remember what line they said, but McAfee said a line about Gunther after the match or before the match the week before, saying like he's just in his head, he's not the same Gunther. And I'm like, interesting, because he's definitely not the same Gunther he's not the IC champion Gunther. Like, he's not the same character. Like,
because he held it for how long? Like it was longer
600
than a year,
days.
Like,
it was
like nearly 2. Okay.
Yeah. Nearly 2. So
I think that you are seeing a lot of character development in him in these matches, and like it's hard to get much out of a match like this, but they did
Yeah.
surprisingly like well to eke some out.
Mhm.
The one thing that I've got about that specifically in my notes is at the end of the match, which I, no surprising who was going to win. It just wasn't as quick as we expected. When he wins and he beats him, because of the way that Pat's been able to kind of keep going, you do
Mhm.
this sort of see this like nod of the
Yeah,
head,
bow.
tip
Mhm.
tip the cap to him, and it's almost like he's respecting the strength that Pat was able to back his words up with. So I wonder if they're leaning something to this because that tip of the cap didn't feel as Healy like brutally that we've like Gunther that we'd seen previously, where he's
Mhm.
just like it's almost like there is a side of respect to him as well. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure what they are doing there, but I do feel like these storylines we're seeing are drawing out a new character from him, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah, I think one thing you can kind of do with Gunther's character in a sense is you can kind of give him like the not like the presentation of the Undertaker, right? But give him like
Mm,
the Taker treatment of like he is quote unquote the best or like this guy that you don't want to have a match with. But just like every time when Undertaker would lose or win and it was like someone he did not expect. Like I think about like a Jeff Hardy, like during that ladder match where at the end of the match he runs down and he thinks he's gonna like beat Jeff up and he ends up just raising his hand up. Like I think like that could be a cool character for Gunther where Gunther is facing these characters. You don't have to do this with like with a
mm.
Seth Rollins or a CM Punk if he's facing one of those guys, but like a quote unquote like a Pat McAfee, Jay Uso, a like let's say they a Dominic Mysterio or something like that. I think
Someone that the
like
crowd generally believes is below the status that Gunther has,
exactly.
essentially.
I think they could do that. I think they can do that character work with Gunther where he's not necessarily a dastardly heel. He's just a really strong guy. He can play that tweener role where he's like, I know I'm better than you, but he can kind of still flip flop. His character can very much can go to face or heel depending on who he's
Yeah,
facing.
I
And I think,
I think getting the face side of things is going to be tricky, considering
yeah,
the position they're starting from. But I do like where you're coming from with that. I do like
yeah.
the theory behind it for sure.
Yeah, I definitely I'm not saying they're gonna do this, but I definitely think they can do that with Gunther because Gunther on very few occasions has paid respects to people in the ring. And he did that with Pat. Part of my cynical side makes me think they're just doing it because it's Pat McAfee and they pay him so much money. So maybe they're like, let's give him props. But like I
Is he
think
paid that much then?
yeah, he's paid a lot, dude. Pat McAfee is like a big name in the States. Like he's like the face of sports
Oh, really?
media. Yeah, in the
Oh,
US.
okay. So
Yeah.
coming from UK, I this is something that is entirely and obviously like I'm not a sports guy other than wrestling,
Yeah.
really. So this is entirely lost on me. I know he used to be a football player, but
Yeah.
that's kind of all I've got to
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah, he's
So
basically the
okay,
face
that's fair.
he's the face of new sports media. Like, he's very, like it's not your typical digesting a sport, it's very personality based, talking about the sports. He's a new face of he's like the face of new sports media. He's like a huge name in sports media here, so they pay him a good amount. I will say that.
Right. Okay, I
But
get
that's the
that.
cynical side of
In
me, but I don't think I'm taking it cynical. You know what I mean? I think I'm gonna have faith that they're gonna do something with that, with the character work.
That's fair, and I think that is what we kind of need to wait and see comes out of this. Just to go back to the match in question, I feel
Mhm.
like because we have jumped sort of into the storyline side of things, which I agree is that's the important bit of this. Where do we
Yeah.
go from Gunther? I like you are
Mhm.
100% right to zero in on that. But let's just talk about this match very briefly
Mhm.
because like you said it was sort of a roller coaster for you. I same here. Like I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
I you never expect to see a commentator when they rarely get in the ring do
Yeah.
any kind of like good stuff. And obviously, Pat has some physical capabilities to him. He used to be a footballer, etc. I don't know whether he's done any wrestling himself
Yeah, he has. He's
prior. Like
been
I think he
he
did a
yeah.
little bit, right?
Yeah, he's had a
Um,
couple matches. He had some matches in NXT versus Adam Cole. He did a
right.
War
Okay.
Games
Cool.
match, and then he faced Austin Theory at
Yeah.
Mania. Yeah.
Yes, that's the one that I remember. So like I knew there must have been at least something there. Um, but I feel like watching these sort of matches is
Mhm.
now I'm terribly out of shape, so I wouldn't consider myself this, but you kind of you know when you have that like, you know what, if I was just in good shape, I bet I could beat these guys. And that's what it almost was for me, like putting yourself in the position of like you've got amateur versus like veteran at this
Yeah.
point with Gunther,
Yeah.
and like how does it line up? Almost like Pat will have watched probably more wrestling than Gunther has because of the
Yeah.
commentating position. So you've almost got the theory versus practical. It's like you could argue that Pat might know more about like what's supposed to happen in a match and things, and it almost puts you as a an audience member into the ring it
Yeah.
through the shoes of Pat McAfee. And I think it was really cool that you got to see him not just get trounced. Like the when he did the he jumped did a backflip off the uh top rope, landed on his feet when Gunther moved out of the way. Then Gunther went to hit him with some other move and he flipped over him, essentially
Mhm.
doing another backflip, landing on his feet. This is like not something you expect to see from any sort of amateur in
Yeah.
the ring whatsoever. They gave him spots where he was able to look strong, and I feel like the way the match played out really was like quite nice to
Mhm.
feed our egos as fans. And maybe it's just me that saw it in this sort of a light, but I felt it was just is an interesting concept because normally, as we've said, the commentators just get squashed if they ever get in the ring. That's
Yeah.
what they should.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. Like I said, like I was like after about 10 minutes, I'm like, why is this match still going on? Like, just get me to the main event. Like, I'm like, I don't care about this match. Like, Gunther should destroy Pat McAfee, yada yada yada. But after that 10-minute mark, especially when you're talking about those spots he was doing, I'm like, hmm, okay, okay, I'm kind of enjoying this now. Hmm, okay. Oh, okay, he's fighting. Oh, Michael Cole grabbed his foot. Oh, ooh, okay, interesting. Okay. And so
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
as the time progressed, I started enjoying the match more. And so yeah, like you said, it was kind of like a roller coaster for me in the sense of like I was just like, all right, end it. Nope. Okay, I guess we're doing this because we're having a proper match. Okay, and then as time progressed, started enjoying it more. By far. So definitely, I honestly think it's honestly one of I've watched most of I think I've watched all of Pat's matches, and um, I think overall, like specifically from like the main ones he's done on the main roster, like this is his best one, like by far. Like he looked really good in this
fair.
one, and so, but
Yeah,
also that being
absolutely.
said,
Red
I
as all
don't.
hell, though.
Yeah, but that being said, I do not want to see him in a bunch of matches. I just don't. Like I hope this is like a one-off
No,
thing where they're like
yeah,
doing that and they don't try to do this thing where the new heel gets in the commentary's face and then Pat has to go fight them in a
no,
match
I agree.
like at another name. I don't need that. So definitely hope they just
I
just
enjoyed it,
one
but
off,
I don't want
keep it that
this
way.
once a year. I don't want this, you know,
I want this
once
every once in
every
a blue
so.
moon.
Yeah,
Once in a
yeah.
blue
It
moon.
is fine to pull out this card once every not 1 year but like 5 years or something like that.
Mhm.
Then it's like, okay, interesting concept. I haven't seen this in half a decade, fine, but too often and it's going to get real old real fast. But I enjoyed this version of the match.
Same. Alrighty, well now we move on to the main event, the quote unquote
Hmm.
last time ever, John Cena versus Randy Orton. Um, Match itself, I really enjoyed. Cena picks up,
I'm glad to hear that from you.
yeah, Cena does pick up the win. But I mean, I guess I'll take the lead on this one because Nick is
Yeah,
such a
man.
big John Cena fan. Um, I feel like I have like a
You know
different
what? He
pers-
wasn't like I am a fan of him, but I don't feel like you were seeing like true Cena in this match. But that's beside the point.
no,
Carry on.
no, 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 no. I was just like, since he's just, I'm gonna get his unbiased views out of the way. No, just kidding. Um, no. I really enjoyed this. It was really just, I mean, from start to finish, it really felt like John Cena versus Randy Orton just flipped. I felt like I was watching Randy and Cena's skin and Cena and Orton's skin from back in the day. Like, it was
I
very
think that's the point,
much,
right?
yeah, and it was it was cool and trippy to see.
Hmm.
I didn't I honestly did not take any notes on this match because if this was going to be the last time, I wanted to be in it. Like, I wanted to be not distracted. I wanted to be really focused on this match because if it is the last time ever, I mean, what a storyline and feud and just overall, just like, we talk about soulmates in wrestling, like talking about like just that's his ultimate, one of his ultimate bad guys, right?
Yeah,
And it's just
absolutely.
cool
In
to
fact,
see it on the other foot.
question for you, because I was trying to think of
Yeah.
this. Currently,
Mhm.
is there any wrestler that has been going longer, but active wrestler that has been going longer than Orton and Cena in the business today? Are they the two literal veterans of the whole company?
Are we talking WWE, like full time in
Yeah,
WWE?
yeah. And you could argue
Yeah.
whether Cena's full time or not, but for the point of
Yeah.
this, we're going to say that he
Mhm.
is.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
they
they are.
started in 2003. I think technically, if you want to throw our truth in there, our truth has been doing it since like the WCW days. I think. Oh, and
Really?
Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio has been doing it a longer.
Oh, Rey Mysterio. Yeah, Rey Mysterio is probably the
Technically,
biggest bet of
yeah,
them
yeah.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. Ray definitely, yeah, definitely is. Yeah, Ray's definitely the one that's been doing it a little, but not
Mhm.
much longer. But like he's been going since like '99 and like 2000 in WCW. So
Yeah.
technically Ray, but yeah, no, these guys, yeah, yeah. To answer your question, yes, they are.
Yeah.
Besides Ray,
And you know what I felt like? This
yeah.
match is this watching this match was just watching just veterans giving a masterclass
Hmm.
on how a match is supposed to be played out. I've seen something before. I think it was like a YouTube short or something, but obviously it was taken for something longer.
Hmm.
There was somebody being a wrestler being interviewed, and they said the piece of advice that was first given was slow the match down. When you
Hmm.
think you've slowed it down, slow it down some more. And
Yeah.
essentially, they were saying like you can never do it slow enough. Now,
Mhm.
sometimes it definitely can go too slow, but this
Yeah.
match was so well paced.
Mhm.
It was flawless, and it's really hard to notice it while you're watching it
Mhm.
because obviously you don't know what's coming next and what have you. But I made this note afterwards. I was thinking back to it, and I was like, everything just it went from one to the next
But
to the
well,
next, but so slowly, so methodically that it really gave me time to drink in, and everything about it was uh, like just showing exactly how a veteran
mhm.
should have a match. I don't think there was one slip up from either of them the whole way through. I don't remember any botches, any like mistimings,
There
anything
is
like that.
there was only one thing, and it wasn't their fault. It just wasn't supposed to happen. The table spot. Cena was supposed to
Yeah,
go through the
okay.
announce table, and it just didn't work. So, I remember laughing. I'm like, Randy's like, "Fuck this, we're doing it. We're doing a table spot,"
Yeah,
and
yeah,
grabs the
but
table. And so I appreciated that because
exactly.
because anyone else, like if that were to happen, like against like a younger guy, like two younger guys, they probably would have just left the spot out and not have went through. So
Mhm.
see, Randy was like, we're putting heel Cena through the table. I don't care how we're doing it. He's probably thinking to himself, damn, I wish the Spanish announce table was here. But they only wheel that out for the big guys.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no,
they
absolutely.
I love that spot specifically. That one stands
The
out
thing
for
is
me
that
because it just made me laugh.
I don't count that as a botch though, right?
No, it's not a
Because
botch on the
as you
wrestlers.
say,
It
not
literally
their
is,
fault.
yeah.
And again, the
And
experience
made the
comes into
moment.
play,
Yeah.
and they're able to go, you know what, we can still make this work.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is supposed to be presumably planned out, a table spot. Like you'd
Hmm.
probably know if there was a table spot in a match before you go into it. And they on the fly, it was just like because you can see Randy looking for one, and he goes to the first side, not there. Like this has not been planned, so he's just like,
Yeah.
it's got to
Hmm.
be somewhere.
Yeah, no,
So
I
yeah,
like I said, like, it's not a botch necessarily. I just know it was not supposed to happen that way. But it's not their fault. It's not their fault that the table didn't break the right way. Like, it's the people who
no,
put the table together to make it not collapse the right way. You
yeah,
know?
I think the announcers tables have definitely got more solid in recent times, and
Yeah,
I
exactly.
both like that, but also it does lead to these moments more often than you'd
Exactly.
like to think.
More often than not. Exactly. So, but yeah, no, I mean, overall, like, it's like, I'm like, I was thinking about because I was flipping through like the Rolodex of Cena Orton matches from back in the day. And it's not my favorite one, but it's definitely up there. It's like probably
Mhm.
number 2 or number 3. Like I think my favorite match of them was the I Quit match in 2011. That was my favorite one that they've ever done. And then they did another one. They did like a ladder match or a TLC match. I enjoyed that TLC match they did. But like
Yeah,
this is like quote unquote like my third favorite like Cena Orton match for the 16 or so times they've done it. It's just yeah, they just did it really really well. I it may interesting note though. After the match, I don't know, and I'm going through this now. After the finish and after the AAs and after the RKOs and after the SCFs and all that fun stuff, again, great way to do it. Like it's a proper Cena Orton match. RKO's out the
yeah,
wazoo. Everything and the whole like he did like 6 RKOs on all these guys on the outside. But seeing Cena
yeah.
near the end, people are cheering for him, and you can kind of see it in his face. And I don't know if this is just his way of like selling the next storyline that they're getting into now. But seeing the look on his face of like he's kind of bothered by the fact that he can't enjoy it with the fans. Like you can see it in his face a little bit, like at the cut. And I don't know if
I
this
can
is just
believe that.
their character work. They're doing it this way because I mean, Cena's an ultimate professional. He's a professional actor. So he can definitely do it. But I felt like, man, Cena. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about. We're only about like 6 months away from him hanging it up. Yeah, we're in May right now. He's only going till
Yeah,
December. So we're gonna be getting to that point now where we're gonna be seeing that ultimate like redemption arc, which I'm assuming. I mean, they have to do that. It'd be
I mean
damn
they've got
shame if
to,
they.
but you think about it, he's only had Cody and Orton so far, right?
Yeah, he's got a
It's
couple.
not
Yeah, he's got a
like
couple more. Yeah, he's got a couple more in him. But it's just like for me, it made me think about like, hmm, are we getting the turn quicker than I thought? Are we not getting the turn like a month before he hangs it up? Are we going to get it at SummerSlam, if they do Rhodes versus Cena at SummerSlam, for the title, and are we doing that there? Because I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, if that is that where it is, or does he? Because once he loses the title, I don't see how you keep him heel. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't. But I also don't see. I don't know. I'm very curious about how they take this storyline going forward with this heel Cena because I feel like we're gonna start seeing cracks a little bit from Cena, like
a little bit.
not wanting to be the bad guy anymore. And I guess it could be just a thing where if they do play into the sell your soul storyline or whatever the fuck that was. Maybe they're like, he's like, I just did it because of this. Da, 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 da. I don't know. But all I know is he's starting to show cracks. And feel like we're going to get these cracks more and more when he faces these opponents that he's had on the past that will ultimately lead to the redemption arc. I don't know when that's going to
Yeah.
be. But I feel like it's coming sooner rather than later. I feel like it's gonna happen before, like not right before he hangs it up, but I'm feeling like early as SummerSlam, late as like October. Like that's how
I
I feel.
think, yeah, I think that um you are right. We are going to start seeing these cracks because it needs to happen naturally because the heel
Yeah,
turn was so unnatural, but
exactly.
essentially it, at the time played well, so it was fine that it was unnatural.
Mhm.
But the redemption arc, it needs to be organic. It can't just be a you know what, Rock, screw you, I'm good now. It doesn't work the same way. You can do that for turning heel, you can't do that for turning face. So you will say, I don't think it will be immediate. I think that you're going to see essentially Cena going down a trip down memory lane. That is what his time there will be now. There's nobody else that he needs to put over other than most likely Cody when he inevitably drops the title to him. And I think you will just see a list of almost, I'm not going to say dream matches, but the people who he has fought in the past, and it will slowly remind him. Yeah, exactly. Slowly remind him of who he's meant to be. I will say that while you are right about the look on his face, did he want to enjoy it with the fans? I wonder whether part of that look was like, I don't think there's any way I can get these fans to stop cheering me. Yeah, almost exasperation. I think that's one way it could be interpreted. But I also think that the way he was wrestling is also like not pandering to the fans quite so much. There was a point in the match where he's up on the top turnbuckle above Orton and laying in the punches. And as you know, obviously the crowd counts. And you go to 10. That is the God-given rule. You go to 10. He goes to 7. And then just like, no, I'm not finishing this off for you. Gets down. To contrast that, Randy then gets up there, goes to first, I think, 14, and then because he hasn't gone all the way, like pauses for a moment, and then finishes it off and gets 20. So it's like, there's your round number. That's what the face is supposed to do, whereas Cena was doing it the other way. And I feel like his ring work is still supporting this. I don't care about you fans. You know, it's only subtle, but Cena going to 7 on those punches, it's a bigger deal than it sounds. Like, I'm saying it, and I know it sounds like nothing, but you and I both know that those sort of spots where the crowd is able to get involved, that is what really gets people to enjoy wrestling.
Yeah,
you know, you feel like you're part of it. It's why they call it WWE Universe, because you feel like you're close to and part of the action. But Cena's still portraying himself disrespectfully. So I don't know whether you're going to see it as soon as you're thinking. I don't think it'll be SummerSlam where he turns back face.
Yeah, I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not. I want to see it go a little bit longer. I think, you know, the best way to like kind of wrap up this Cena match and Orton match is what opponent do you think is the one that will leave the most impact on a heel Cena to make him turn face? My guess, I mean, I might be just saying this because I'm selfish, but I think it's Punk.
I think it's Punk. Say it's Punk. And the thing
I don't think there's anyone else
struggle
that
to
can
come up with somebody else.
Yeah, because it's not going to be Styles. It's not going to be Reigns. The easy answer would be Cody, but like Cena never really doesn't have that much history with Cody. And I think it could be Punk, like, and like the sense of like, what the fuck are you doing, man? I came back, right? I came back for these people. Like, I can literally see him like going, that's like me, fucking Phil Brooks, CM Punk, the one who does not care about anyone but himself, or the one who said, quote unquote, selfish. And I came back for these people. You care about these people. Stop bullshitting yourself. You're not this person. And I feel like it could be like that is the one person that can probably get him to maybe see the light. Because I think like people are like, they're going to do it at Money in the Bank. They're not doing it at Money in the Bank because they got 2 weeks. They got 2 weeks to do this match. If they're doing it at Money in Bank is like
soon.
June 10th.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not have that date down. Damn.
Yeah, June 10th. Yeah, it's quick. It's quick. So they're not doing it there. So they're going to be building it up. And I mean, they could do it at SummerSlam, maybe. Because, Nick, I hate to break the news to you. SummerSlam's 2 nights this year.
Yeah, I that much I know. I am aware.
So I don't know if they're gonna treat it like a Mania type of thing where like we have a really big main event or whatever. But I don't know where they're gonna do this match.
I'm not doing the fantasy booking with you for SummerSlam. Mania, it was great. I enjoyed it. But God,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
no,
watch
Mania is
all the
the
lead up to again.
no,
I'm
no,
I'm
no,
a pay per
no,
view
no, no,
or
no.
rather what is it, premium live event guy. That is me,
No,
and
that's fine. No,
yeah,
I
but
was like,
I'm
Mania
excited to
Mania's
watch
fine.
SummerSlam. But
Mania's fine. We'll wheel it out once a year. All right, we'll wheel it out
yeah,
once a year
cool.
because you got to enjoy the road to WrestleMania. I don't like the road to Somerset
Yeah,
doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? So,
no,
but yeah,
no.
we got that. I think that's where we go from there.
So
But I
I
mean,
don't. You
yeah.
know what? I don't think you see Cena fighting at Money in the Bank.
Mhm.
If it's that soon, I don't see how you set up an opponent. I think the only one, and I haven't watched the this week's.
Oh, what's happening? It's happening.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. Like my guess would, if it's that close, sod it. Throw a match against R-Truth in there just to make
They are.
Cena look.
They're doing
Is that
it.
what they're
It's
doing?
been
Yeah.
confirmed.
Okay.
But they're not
Right.
doing it
That was
on
a
at Money
guess.
in the Bank. They're doing it at Saturday. They're doing it next week at Saturday night main event. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sure.
yeah,
Whatever. I
yeah.
don't care.
I was like, oh, cool. Our truth for the
That just
title.
no, no. That just makes Cena look more heel, and I'm kind of it. But again, it is
I'm here
someone that's
for it.
chinking away at the
The
heel exterior
mhm.
to like, I supported you because you were such a face, and it's one more of those trips down memory lane. So I can see that. If they're doing that, there's definitely no time to set anything up for him versus anybody at Money in the Bank,
No, they're
unless
gonna
they
save it
do
for
a
SummerSlam.
repeat of the R-Truth, which they probably won't. So
No.
yeah, it'll be SummerSlam. As much as I am looking forward to the Cena Punk match, which you know is coming, I don't think it will be yet. I think they will do somebody else first. I'm not sure who, but that's not important right now. To like lead up to it so that Punk can then probably around about, no, I was going to say Survivor Series, but that's probably when Cody wins it back. Somewhere in between SummerSlam and Survivor Series, they do the Punk Cena angle, which is the one where he turns like essentially face, and
Mhm.
that's when Cody can then come back in after, because he'll beat Punk. And this was something that I did want to touch on with this match actually, so I'll go back to this in a second. He'll beat Punk, he'll keep the title, but Punk will be the one to turn him back, like mostly face, and
Mhm.
then Cody can come in and get the match that Cody always wanted against him versus face Cena,
Yeah.
essentially.
Mhm.
And that's when Cody will win it back, get put over, blah 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 blah. Um, but the one thing that I will say about these memory road matches that I think we can refer to them as for Cena,
Mhm.
the problem is that because you're putting the title on the line, and because in the back of your head you can't help but think that the only person that's going to take it away is Cody, or somebody that they actually want to be the champion going forward, right? The end result is already a foregone conclusion. I
Yes.
at no point in this match expected Randy to win, and that is the thing that takes away from these matches from for me a little bit. Like
Yep. And
I massively enjoyed it. I thought it was brilliant, and they gave Randy plenty of time to shine, especially being in front of hometown and what have you. But I don't know whether you thought Randy was going to pick up the victory at some point. No, exactly. I can say, you're shaking your head there because it was never on the cards, and so
yeah.
you're watching this as, you can't watch it as a sport. You're watching it as a play, like in a weird
Yeah.
sense of
Yeah, you are.
uh, looking at it, and that takes away from, like, with knowing Cena is leaving and knowing that he is essentially trying to leave with the title, unless they massively surprise us by putting
Right.
it on someone that you don't expect to win. I kind of see these matches as a real shame that this is the way you're doing the end of Cena's era.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, like in that sense. Like, it's a shame that we kind of already know that Cena should be winning these matches. But I also think what they can do is they can do a really good job of making you think that he could lose this match. Which that's
Yeah,
the thing,
sure.
right? Like you can do that really well. where you're just like, I think back to like Lord have mercy, like the AJ Styles matches that he had, where like never in a million years where was I thinking that John Cena was gonna lose to fucking AJ Styles. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
like and no like at that point, like, but I was surprised and they made me believe and then they did it, right? So I feel like they can definitely like certain performers can negate that air of possibility of like Cena's winning. And I unfortunately like I love Orton. Don't get me wrong, I really do. But Orton's not
Same.
that kind of wrestler that can make you believe that he could do it because even though it's the RKO out of nowhere, so many people kick out of the RKO. Like
Hey,
it's
it's
like
probably my
it's
favorite finisher of all
oh yeah,
time.
it's a
Yeah.
great
Oh,
finisher.
you know what I want to touch on real quick? Like,
Yeah.
we kind of already moved past it, but the AA being countered by the RKO in that match,
Hmm.
where I didn't know what had happened. I knew something had happened, but I didn't know
Yeah.
what, and I had to like. It was only when they showed the replay that that was
That's
oh,
cool.
chef's
But
kiss
I
of
also like
like.
how it hurt both
Sorry,
of them because
sorry,
it was
carry on.
like no, I was gonna say that was cool because it hurt both of them because he still
Yeah,
took the AA. He still took
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
He just turned it into an arcade. So I thought that was really cool. Like you said, that was a good spot. But yeah, I just think certain in ring performers can take that era possibility. But I think it also just boils down to me and you been doing this long enough. We've been watching wrestling for
Yeah,
a very long time that we sometimes do like when we're watching it, we do need to take the 30 the 25 plus year veteran of watching wrestling out of our mind and just be a fan and enjoy it. And
yeah.
I think we can do I think if we do that, we would probably enjoy the matches just a little bit more. But that being said, it's really hard to when you're
Yeah, it is.
like the only logical sense, like in my mind, if I was booking the show, would be like Cody wins it back. And the only other person, like if you're talking about logically winning the WWE title that the WWE would be okay with them holding it, would be Punk. Like that's the only other
Yeah.
person. But like I don't see Punk beating Cena. I don't think that's good for Cena's character to lose to Punk. So it's just
I don't
like,
know. They're both like veterans, so it's
yeah,
not like you're losing to a newbie. You're not
yeah.
putting somebody. Cena isn't putting Punk over if he loses to him, right?
Exactly, you know what I mean? So I
He's
feel like you when Cena loses the title, he needs to be putting someone over in the process. And I think what that kind of can lead towards before we wrap up, Backlash is done. I think we both have said multiple times today that it was a fine show. Nothing
yeah.
extraordinarily special happened. It was just a good show overall. There weren't any weak matches on the card. It was a great time. It was a good time. It leads into because we're talking about how Cena could lose the title. We're not going to do a recap. We're not going to do predictions for Money in the Bank or anything like that. But Money in the Bank is always a possibility at some point,
Yep.
for a cash in. I guess before we wrap
Yeah.
up, who do you want to see win the men's and women's Money in the Bank? And do you think the winner of the men's Money in the Bank would cash in on a Cena to take it away from him after a match? Do you think they go that route with that? Or do you think that
Ooh.
strictly is just
Okay.
sticking with the world title? I think that's a
Yeah.
cool thing you
Now
can think about too.
I wasn't ready for this question. Just before I put my foot in my mouth, have they
Mhm.
confirmed any of the competitors for the Money in the Bank matches?
The only person who's been confirmed is the one person for the women's, and that's Alexa Bliss.
Oh no, I don't think Alexa's winning it.
And it's like not saying
Oh,
that who do
God.
you think's gonna win, but who do you want to win it?
Who do I want to win it? Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Um, this is really hard. So, from the men's side of things, I think I would like to see. Now, I was going to say either Drew McIntyre or Damian Priest,
Mhm.
but then I was like, Damian Priest won it either last time or the time before.
Drew won it last
But
year.
was it? Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe McIntyre, just because I feel like their feud is going to go on for too long if there isn't a reason to
Okay.
get out of it. And I feel like McIntyre absolutely
Do you think
could
he'll win it again?
hold.
because McIntyre won it last year.
Oh, was it? Wait, McIntyre won it last year.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I thought it was. Wait, was Damian Priest the year before that?
Yeah.
Because okay, right. Damn it.
Because
I
I'm
was
like,
forgetting
he won it
McIntyre had
last
won it.
year and he cashed in, and then Punk ruined it.
Okay, no. That isn't going to happen. I was just looking for a way for that feud to be over, but forget that in that case. Oh God, who's going to win it then? I don't know, man. Like,
Who do you want to win it? What person do you want to see potentially hold the briefcase? Doesn't have to be who you think's gonna
I
win.
mean,
That's
who do
not
I
fun.
want to? Who do I
Yeah, who do
want
you
to is
want
Drew
to win?
McIntyre. I love Drew
Okay.
McIntyre, and I don't think he's had enough love. So,
Okay.
like, you know what? I go back to my previous. Sod it, 2-time winner. Like, there hasn't been a back-to-back Money in the Bank winner before now, so that could be an
I don't know.
interesting.
There has, but Punk won it twice at WrestleMania. The year before and the year after.
Oh wait, that was.
It was before the PLE.
Okay.
Like it was before it was its own PLE, but definitely he's won it
Yeah,
twice.
that's what I was
Back to
thinking
back.
of. Okay, sorry, McIntyre, who's the one to win. Who do I want to
Okay.
win the women's? Maybe Rio.
Okay.
Just because but maybe she doesn't go after Io.
Okay.
She instead goes after Tiff.
That'd be fun.
Because I don't feel like Rhea has any long-term beef with Io Sky, despite what happened there. I could see Io having beef with Rhea, but I don't think Rhea necessarily, or maybe I'm wrong, and there was a point where I think she did sort of like insinuate I'm still coming after that. Maybe she does go back against.
Storyline wise, she still very much is interested in Io's belt because I watch Raw every week, so very much so. But it'd be interesting.
I'm thinking match wise, I don't want to see it. Match wise, I'd like to see her versus Tiff. Primarily because I'd like to see Tiff getting absolutely slapped around. But hey, I'm still not a big supporter of her. So yeah, and I just think Rhea deserves. God, she doesn't need it. I know she doesn't, but I can't help but feel like she's so high up there on the roster that she should have something. There's my very, very unthought out, poor, not predictions, but wants. What about you? Like,
I was gonna say, yeah, for me, men wise, I would really, really like to see like I have two, and they're all selfish picks. But I would really like to see Finn win it, or I'd really like to see LA Knight win it. Just so they can get because I want Finn to have a title. I just want Finn to win a world title, like a proper world title. I just want that for myself as a Finn Balor fan.
I mean, he doesn't take it off Cena. Do you see him taking it off Jay?
Yeah, I see him taking it off Jay. I see him taking it off Jay. He doesn't take it off Cena. I see him taking it off Jay. And then LA Knight, I think would be an interesting one because you could do a Cena match with LA Knight, but it doesn't have to be like a traditional cash in. Like I'm gonna cash in after you lose. I can definitely see him be like, I just want a match with Cena, so I'm cashing it in so I can have a match with Cena on his farewell tour. You know what I mean? I can see that possibly being a thing. I just think again, I want LA Knight in the main event scene, and I think having him hold the briefcase would automatically one put him there, but two, it would have that overlooming fact because the second he cashes that in and he wins, the roof is gonna blow up on the house. Like the people are gonna lose their shit. So I want to see that. Like I want to see that just as selfishly because I want to see LA Knight win one because I want to see how well over he can get with the fans. Because again,
the thing is though, if he cashes it in on Cena, I don't think he's winning.
Yeah, I don't think he's winning either. But I was like, that's like how I could see them possibly doing an LA Cena match if that's how they wanted to do it. You know, because it's been done before where Cena cashed and he never cashed in on the quote unquote right way where everyone was tired. Cena cashed in on the person like, I'm challenging you here. I'm cashing in my briefcase. I can see LA Knight kind of doing that with Cena having kind of a throwback Cena thing where Cena's like, I'm a noble guy. I'm cashing in.
Yeah.
I can see that. And then on the women's side, selfishly, I just want to see Roxanne Perez win it because I think she's the most talented up and comer, and if they're gonna do,
She's really good.
I can easily see them do the give her the Tiffany treatment where Tiffany wins the Money in the Bank, cashes in, becomes world champion. Roxanne wins Money in the Bank, cashes it in, becomes champion. Like I feel like they can do that route with her because I think they did a good job with doing it with Tiffany, while introducing her to the main roster. And then obviously the higher ups really like Tiffany, even though we may be a little bit more indifferent about her ourselves. But it's kind of the same. Yeah. Well, I will say, she did have a match with Naya, and it was actually a very, very good match. I just watched it last night. It was actually like properly like I don't know what happened, but they worked really well together. I was like, damn, this is actually a good match. I'm very surprised. So
Maybe it's unfair because like the last time I've seen her, obviously, has been the Charlotte
the
match,
Charlotte match,
which
yeah, yeah,
I think neither of those women wanted to work with each other, so it painted her in a bad light. So maybe I'm being unfair with it, but
yeah.
I,
No, no, you're no.
I,
Hey,
I
you watch the PLEs, you see what you see. So you're right. You're entitled to the opinion you've seen, Nick. You don't have to apologize. You're like, oh, maybe I'm
yeah,
no. You saw the last match you saw of her was that WrestleMania match, and before that, you watched a tag match. And you watched a couple matches on SmackDown here or there. You're more than welcome to have that opinion on someone because that's all you have seen of them. It's totally okay. So if you guys come for him on the comments, just know he's only watched like a couple he's only saw those last matches of Tiffany's. So leave him alone. They have not
yeah.
been great for Tiffany. And you guys cannot
Thank you,
defend
thank you.
you cannot defend that. Anyways, you just can't. Like she's great.
Yeah,
Don't get me
don't
wrong, guys.
defend her. Defend those matches
Yeah,
if you have a
defend those
difference of
matches
opinions.
because we like I've trust me, I've watched Tiffany's matches. That she has good matches, don't get me wrong, but the last couple showings that Nick has seen, they have not been her best spots. And that's
She's
no fault
This is it.
on and that's no fault on Nick. It's just Tiffany.
I can tell
It's
she's not
Tiffany's and
bad.
yeah, no, like
She's
the
just
higher ups would
not
not
at
put
the
her.
level that she's being treated at. This is
Yeah,
my issue with it.
the
She's
higher
she's
ups would
been
not put her
treated as a
there.
top
Yeah.
tier, and I don't think she is.
Yeah. No, if they didn't think she could go, they would not have her be holding the WWE Women's Championship. I think the biggest thing with Tiffany and I, we're getting way off topic, and we're going to end this episode after we talk about this because now we're just not talking about anything.
Okay, well, the point is, whoever wins Women's Money in the Bank, I don't care who it is, but challenge Tiffany, beat her, take that title away from her.
Boom. Take it away. Nick wants her to see her gone. But guys, that will do us for this episode of Podcastmania. We've covered Backlash. We talked a little bit about Money in the Bank, about what we want to see, who we want to win the matches. We'll be back. We'll be back in about a month after Money in the Bank happens. We'll talk about it, and it should be a good time. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up, Nick?
No. Other than Money in the Bank is my favorite PLE all year.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the ladder matches, and I am so looking forward to them.
Super. Well, let's go. Well, guys, we'll definitely be there talking about that. But until next time, we will see you on the flip side. I've been Luke. That has been Nick, and we will see you guys later. Bye.